Welcome to My Business Matters, the Michigan Chamber podcast.
Hello, I'm Jim Holcomb, President and CEO of the Michigan Chamber and today's podcast host. Today we're going to be discussing one of Michigan's most critical infrastructure projects, the Great Lakes Tunnel. This tunnel is going to replace a portion of the Line 5 pipeline, which runs under the Straits of Mackinac, that delivers the fuel that keeps Michigan homes and businesses running, keeps our economy moving. With the Army Corps of Engineers recently releasing its long-awaited environmental impact statement, which is a key milestone in moving forward, we're going to take a deeper dive today into what is the latest, what it all means for our energy reliability, economic security, job creation, and importantly, protecting our Great Lakes. We have three great guests with us today. Anna Mooney. Anna is the Manager of Government Relations for Enbridge. Enbridge is the owner and operator of Line 5, and it's a company committed to investing in building our Great Lakes Tunnel. Mike Smith is the Executive Director for the Upper Peninsula Construction Council. They're a labor group of quality construction contractors and building trade professionals. And the Michigan Chamber's very own Mike Alimo, he is our Senior Director of Legislative and External Affairs, and he is our lead on environmental and energy issues. All three of you, thanks for joining. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Well, we've been hearing a lot and talking a lot about Line 5 in Michigan for several years, and the project's moving along. I'd like to start with kind of the big picture. What are the latest developments, and where are we, especially in light of the environmental impact study? And Anna, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and the question. I think I want to back up even a bit further. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been working on this project with Enbridge for over 6 years, but I've been a Michiganian my whole life. I've raised a family here. We love to spend time in northern Michigan and have fun in Great Lakes. So I think it's just important to note, the protection of the Great Lakes is really what the tunnel and what the project is set out to do to ensure we can still deliver the reliable energy, as you said, as our state, region, companies, businesses, agriculture rely on, but also ensuring that we're protecting the Great Lakes. So really, really proud to be part of Enbridge and part of this project, and really just wanted to stress the high level of expertise and the high standards of excellence that Enbridge is applying to this project. So I think, with your question, where we sit today is we are nearing the end of an Army Corps of Engineers permitting process. So, the Army Corps of Engineers is our federal regulator on this project. Mm-hmm. We're in the middle of a public comment period, and we're really excited about moving forward and getting closer to construction. And I think that high level expertise and high standard of excellence is really exhibited as well in this draft environmental impact statement that we're seeing from the Corps of Engineers. So really exciting time and good milestone for us as a company.
Yeah, it's exciting. As you said, 6 years, that's a long time. This is a great project. Everybody's moving forward. We just need to get it going so we can get it done. The sooner we get it done, the better we are for everybody. And I don't think anyone in Michigan would ever disagree with you protecting the Great Lakes. They're a crown jewel for all of us, and it's something that's just really important that everybody wants to look at. Mike Alimo, as you kind of reviewed the environmental impact assessment, what was your takeaway?
Yeah, well, what we saw was a document and analysis that was incredibly thorough and exhaustive in its approach, looking at several scenarios across project design, looking at the potential for environmental impacts, because of course, as Anna points out, this whole project is about protecting the environment, protecting our Great Lakes and waters. And, we know through working and advocating for this project that it is, over-engineered to virtually eliminate any risk of an incident going forward. So you saw that reflected in the environmental impact assessment. I think what was also encouraging to see was that when you're looking at those scenarios the Army Corps laid out, you did not see the scenario in which there was no pipeline there to begin with. That was something we did see opponents argue in court, that, the court should consider a scenario in which the pipeline was never permitted to begin with. That's, of course, a reality that doesn't exist. And so the Chamber, in an amicus brief filing, argued, I think quite persuasively, that you can't look at that. The status quo is the pipeline in the ground. And if the status quo is the pipeline in the ground, then it's pretty clear that having the Great Lakes Tunnel project moving forward is the best scenario for Michigan and its environment.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out for listeners, too, the pipeline as it currently exists is well-run, well-maintained, never had a major incident, and the tunnel is just going to make a good situation great. We're going to protect for the next 100 years, and is what I see the reason for the tunnel.
Yeah, and I would add to Mike's point, the pipeline itself, we know that pipelines are the safest way to transport energy. And the pipeline in the Straits was actually built over 70 years ago to take the oil off of barges or off of boats during that time of where they were being transported on the Great Lakes on boats. So it was meant to protect the Great Lakes. And this is just, I think now as we see our technology, further advance and we have these, modifications that can be made, this is just the right thing to do and the right investment for Enbridge to make to, again, ensure that critical energy can be delivered. But while we look at those, technological advances to modernize. So it's just really the right thing to do. And we're excited about the investment as well.
Yeah, Mike Smith, I want to bring you into the conversation. You're the executive director of the Upper Peninsula Construction Council, and we're talking a lot about, not only the need for the tunnel, but the exacting standards and how we're going to build this and how it's going to lead to job creation and how we're going to make sure that this tunnel is really another positive infrastructure improvement for for Michigan. Can you just share with us a little bit about your council and how you are affiliated with the project?
Sure. So I actually was one of the first times that I actually spoke publicly about 4 years ago as part of the permitting process with Enbridge. It was probably a couple of weeks after I came on as the executive director, just talking about how we're prepared, we're ready to go. Our folks are highly trained and ready to be boots on the ground as soon as Enbridge and the permitting process is completed. It's probably one of the most investigated projects in the state of Michigan, more than 40,000 hours to provide data and survey through the process. So as soon as this process is over, we stand ready with the highly trained men and women of the trades to make sure that this project is completed on time, safely, and on budget.
Can you talk a little bit about what the impact would be, jobs created or anything, the impact to your members, the people in the trades? Because I know a lot of times we look at it in trades, we're struggling. We want to make sure we have great men and women entering the trades, and these are wonderful jobs. And they're jobs that are working on important infrastructure like we have discussed here with the tunnel. Can you talk a little bit about what you foresee as maybe the economic impact?
Sure. So I think it would make sense to talk a little bit about the training, right? And I'm not just speaking to the apprenticeship programs that we've done for more than 100 years, right? It's the new programs that we've created in partnership with others, Enbridge being one of those folks that has invested in our programs. But we're developing talent in high school, right? So whether it's in our building trade summer camp, which is a 6-week program for incoming freshmen through seniors to begin to develop their talents, or it's in their senior year where we have them working with our contractors 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, getting ready, right? Getting to understand what it looks like in the field. And then the impact to families, right? So our number one export in the UP is 24 to 35-year-olds. So we do a great job of educating them, and then there's no careers at the end of that, so they have to find somewhere else in order to earn a living. We want to make sure that those jobs are there in the UP and in the broader state of Michigan, right? So if we're going to prepare them for jobs that are available right here, we need to make a commitment to them that those jobs are going to be there. Things that we're going to do, whether it's moving energy or it's creating that next step in technology for energy creation, we want to make sure that they're going to stay right here in Michigan. We can't afford to continue to bleed talent outside our state, and these projects mean that we get to keep that talent right here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I know when I talk to my members, regardless of industry, one of the consistent messages I hear is talent, attraction, and retention. We need to be welcoming here in the state. And as you say, we're training these men and women. They're getting high skills. We don't want to lose them to other states. we need them right here to help build Michigan and help make sure these projects are built properly.
Absolutely.
I want to give you the opportunity here because I hadn't heard of it before, but you talked about maybe a 6-week summer camp. Is there a place that anybody could go to get information on that if they wanted to look at it themselves, if they're a person of interest, or if they want to share that information with a family member or friend?
Yeah, absolutely. They could go right to our website. That's website, upconstruction.org or .com. Either one's going to take you there. But that's where you'd find out about our programs. We're full up for the summer program this year, but we rotate it in the triangle, right? So right now it's either in Marquette or Gladstone, Escanaba, and Iron Mountain. But we're looking to expand those programs to include the entire UP, just like we did with our Construction Connect program. We just brought on 2 students from the Sioux area that'll be joining us. So we've been in a triangle now. We want to move east and west with projects that we want to develop that talent locally, right? And when I say locally, most people don't realize the vast distance east and west across the Upper Peninsula, right? They don't realize how far that is. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to develop that talent locally in their own areas, right? So I really feel as, let's keep our foot on that accelerator, right? Let's keep on developing that talent and building things in Michigan. We got away from it a little bit when I was in high school in the early 90s. And now I think folks have realized that there is more than just one pathway to success. And we're trying to make sure that everybody understands that pathway is different for each of us. So let's make the choice that works best for us and make sure that there's family-sustaining jobs at the end of those choices.
No, absolutely. Everybody deserves a pathway of success, and we have to make sure we look at our young people and that we're a champion for everyone. We aren't a champion just for somebody going to a 4-year university or somebody to a community college or into the trades. We got to make sure that those pathways are available to everyone and make sure that everyone can be successful right here in Michigan and they can stay, live, and raise their family, build a business, and really contribute to what all is great in Michigan. Michael Imo, I want to circle back to you a little bit. Interesting when Anna says this project's been going on 6 years, but there are critics out there saying that this has been fast-tracked, or that, or even in the greater kind of macro sense that we should move away from energy sources that are transported through the pipeline. Just wanted your take on that, and how do we address concerns like this? Because again, this just doesn't seem to be realistic.
That's right. I mean, there are 2 really fundamental statements of misinformation that opponents are kind of using to push back on this project. One, to your point, Jim, that this has been somehow fast-tracked, and certainly folks like us at the Michigan Chamber and other groups out here advocating for this project know that is certainly not the case. We've been advocating for this project in multiple venues, whether it's the permitting under the Michigan Public Service Commission, permitting under EGLE, the state's environmental regulator, now with the Army Corps of Engineers, there's been litigation. So, we know that this whole issue, the legal basis for it moving forward, the permitting process, the, environmental scrutiny, has really been, a level of intensity I frankly haven't really seen anywhere else. So this has been extremely deliberative, and that's why it's exciting to see this Army Corps process kind of move to the next stage. The other piece of it is talking about how, our energy independence is some kind of false crisis, or that the crisis around ensuring energy independence isn't a real one. Again, that couldn't really be further from the case. I mean, Michigan is home to a robust and diversified energy grid. We have all sorts of different generation types throughout the state, but we know through the regional grid operator MISO that we are facing a potential capacity shortfall if we don't ensure that we have this generational mix of different energy resources. 55% of the state's propane comes from Line 5. 65% of the UP's propane comes from Line 5. We are the heaviest user of propane in the country, and we use it to heat our homes and our schools and our hospitals. So it's a critical lifeline for Michigan to keep the line going and the tunnel project moving forward. And of course, being energy independent is critical for a prosperous economy. If you're dependent on other nations or forces outside of your direct control for something like energy, you're not really able to continue to grow as an economy. So for all of those reasons, it's really important people understand this project is really important to Michigan's future, and it is really working through every type of safeguard and protection that you could think of.
Yeah, Anna, that number really stands out to me, 65% of propane in the UP. And I mean, you guys are a great company. You're making the commitment to Michigan, but you're also committed to all the communities. You're committed to the entire state. What would happen if we actually didn't have this pipeline? What would happen in the UP, and how would we proceed?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something that actually was contemplated too by the state. There was a UP Energy Task Force that looked at that for a couple of years. I think it was designated by the governor back a couple of years ago, and found that Line 5 was the best option for safely, affordably, reliably delivering that energy to not only residents of UP, but, I totally agree, obviously, with Mike's comments around how we supply the propane. But I think it's also important to note that we supply, Line 5 alone supplies product for 10 refineries within the region. So we have one refinery in Michigan, but 9 others that, Michigan relies on for that refined product. Our petrochemical industry, our chemistry industry that relies on those products that come back by way of refined product. So we had calculated, and it's been done as well through this UP Energy Task Force, but it's approximately 2,100 trucks per day that would have to go over the Mackinac Bridge, which is a crown jewel as well of the state. It doesn't seem very environmentally friendly, right, to put that many trucks across our roads and bridges. To find the number of trucks and to find the number of truck drivers, I think would be a challenge.
What is the safer way if we're really worried about a catastrophic event, which no one wants, that we take, regulators properly take every step they can to make sure we insure against that? It seems like the pipeline's far and away the safest.
Absolutely. So again, I think you said earlier, but making a safe pipeline safer. We know the line is safe and operating and has for over 70 years. But again, I think we keep, as technology advances, we should be harnessing that and looking at all of our infrastructure as we do along our entire system throughout North America, and figuring out how do we modernize it? How do we make it safer? How do we run more efficiently? Those are all things that, I'm sure many of your members as well are always, continuing to look at in their own operations too.
Yeah, and I know my question kind of pointed out to propane, but you raise a good point. There's a lot of daily goods that we all use in our life that are impacted by what goes through that pipeline. And as you said, we have one refinery in Michigan, 10 in the region. If you took this out, it's like, I think of just a long line of pipelines. You take this out of the middle, you're impacting not only us, but other countries. It really would have a detrimental impact.
Absolutely. And I think, the markets said, I think as Mike said too, I mean, we're an all of the above energy company. We want to be the choice of delivery for energy. We, are not only, obviously this discussion in Line 5 is around, liquid oil that we transport and natural gas liquids, but we're also heavily invested in the renewable sector. We're heavily invested in, the carbon sequestration sector. We're talking about geothermal. So we're really all things energy. But so I think it's important to have that approach, but we know and markets show that the need for petroleum is near and into the future, well into the future. And so we need to ensure that all of our infrastructure, and again, in this case, Line 5 in particular, that we're constantly looking at technological advancements that can improve, efficiencies, safety, reliability, and affordability in how we deliver the energy for all sectors, and all residents in the state and the region.
Yeah. Mike Smith, how close or how much time does it take to get ready when they can push the button and say, go, we're going to go forward and build this? How long are the men and women ready just to start right away? Is it a slow process of building up? How does that happen logistically in your industry?
So when Enbridge finally gets the permits for this, and as we built out what the construction is going to look like, obviously we're going to start above ground first with multiple structures, but our contractors are ready to go. And quite honestly, timing-wise, things look really, really good, right? So the SULOCs are going. right? So there's already activity over there. We've got men and women that we're pushing all over the UP. So as soon as that project is ready to go, we'll begin to push all those folks where they need to be. So they've already got kind of the structure already set up, right? So places for people to live, because we've got to think about that if they're traveling. Where are we going to put all these skilled craftspeople in a local community? So the good news is that the SULOX has been, I think, helpful in a way that we're able to coordinate and move people around. So whether they're below the bridge or above the bridge, when they say it's ready to go, we'll start to fill our contractor roles. So as our contractors say, hey, we need 40 or 50 pipe fitters, we'll put the calls out and we'll move the people around. Or carpenters or millwrights, iron workers, we'll address that as rapidly as the need arises. So, and we'll have, there's a lot of very technical skilled folks that will be going underground, right? So that may not necessarily be folks just from the state of Michigan, right? So they have special training that will probably be traveling from further away than Michigan to do some of that stuff. But everything above ground, we stand ready to fill all of those roles as those times begin to fill them.
It just strikes me as you talk, and it sounds exciting about how you plan to get this going. I would anticipate, that working on the SULOX, working on the Line 5, working on other projects up there should be a great marketing tool to get people into these industries. They ought to be looking at these projects and saying, I want to be part of that. I want to be part of building Michigan back better than we ever have been. That hopefully it's attracting more people to the trades because they see how important it is and what great jobs they are.
Yeah, great point. 4 years ago, we didn't have enough full supplying, right, for apprenticeship programs. Over the course of the last 4 years, just because of the marketing of these projects, right, the news covering what's going on in the UP, we went from a deficit to now we've got more applicants than we can even put through our apprenticeship programs. There for a minute, the IBEW had more than 130 applicants on their list to bring in, and they're putting on maybe 25 to 30 apprentices a year. So that the world has changed pretty dramatically coming out of COVID, quite honestly, and people have realized that there are other opportunities, and they've prepared themselves in high school in order to be successful after high school for different pathways. So the good news is there's a huge interest, which is great for us.
Yep.
And then these projects is also great for us and our membership to go to work, that they don't have to worry about who they're going to work for next week or next year or 3 years from now. We've got these projects lined up, so we know where the peak, I say manpower, but that's universal, right? Skilled craftspeople power, right? Know when we have to put those folks into the field or where we're going to move them around from.
Yeah, no, that is great news. I'm glad that people are seeing the benefit of going in the trades and what a wonderful career path it could be. Michael Imo, as we're moving forward, what's, we talked about the environmental impact assessment. Where are we in the entire permitting process? How many more steps and hoops do people have to jump through? And some of those hoops are absolutely necessary. We need safety regulations and we need to make sure it's done right. But how close are we getting to getting the ability to push the go button?
Right, yeah. No, well, to your point, this is a really important process that needs to be worked through and played out. That the Army Corps of Engineers is working through the public hearing process right now. That will take place through the end of this month, so people can, we had the virtual public hearing yesterday where the chamber and other stakeholders were able to weigh in and share thoughts. You're also able to, send in thoughts via snail mail or via email to the Army Corps of Engineers. They have a website landing page kind of set up to accept all of that. And then hopefully we'll see a decision made in the near-term future, at which point hopefully we can start to, talk about shovels in the ground. But I think Anna has some thoughts on that as well when it, relates to the state permits that we have already seen approval there's a bit of a couple different timelines here between the state and the federal process that might not run in sync. So I think Anna might have some thoughts there.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was to say, Anna, you are going to get the last word on this and kind of close us out with what we need to know about the permitting process and where we stand.
Yeah, Mike's exactly right. We do anticipate, we're getting near to the end of the Army Corps process. We anticipate a decision by the Corps by the end of this year. As Mike referenced, we do have permits in hand from the Michigan Public Service Commission that shows the need for the line to be replaced in a tunnel. We have an EGLE permit, which is our state environmental agency that we also received. We'll be applying for another permit from EGLE that will align with the timing for the Army Corps schedule as well. Mm-hmm. So we hope to have permits in hand. And I think to Mike Smith's comments, we hope to have permits in hand by the end of this year. I think the other exciting or fascinating part of the tunnel, actual tunnel construction piece is the tunnel boring machine. And so we are, our next critical milestone is procuring the tunnel boring machine. So the TBM, very fascinating technology, state-of-the-art, custom built to fit the needs of the geology that the TBM will be boring through. And I think also just to note that, we have a scale. So the machine itself is about 500 feet in length. We have a 22-foot scale model that we procured.
22 feet is the scale model?
22 feet, about the length of this table here. And you can visit it. Anybody is welcome. It's open to the public. We have an information center in St. Ignace. So if you find your way north of the bridge, or on your side of the bridge, I should say, Mike Smith, you stop into our information center right downtown St. Ignace. We have what really is, you can a replica of what it would be like to stand in the tunnel. We also have all kinds of information and facts, but really that tunnel boring machine is a really exciting, critical part of the next step in the process. And just really exciting, encouraged by the federal government moving forward with the core process, and looking forward to getting all of back to my high level of expertise, Mike Smith's hardworking, skilled labor folks ready to work. So we're looking forward to it.
No, that's great. And I commend you for having all that available for the public. I think the best thing we can do is allay people's fears by being transparent and having those models and having places where people can get the information and look at it, touch it, and really visualize it. Because it is hard to visualize. If you aren't, I'm not in that industry of building a tunnel.
Same.
It's hard for me to visualize. But it's just tremendous so the public can see, no, this is going to be good, and I think it builds public support. But once again, as always on these podcasts, time goes by very fast. A very special thanks to Anna, Mike Smith, and Michael Limo for today's discussion. It's clear that it's more than just an energy story. It's a story about modernizing our infrastructure, economic opportunity, and building a resilient future for Michigan that protects both our energy reliability needs and the Great Lakes. If you'd like to learn more about the tunnel project or submit a comment to the Army Corps during their current public input period, visit michamber.com or greatlakesmichiganjobs.com. As always, thanks for listening.